Welcome to Once Upon a Case, because the law isn't just for lawyers, it's for everyone. Let's break down Central London Property Trust, Ltd. versus High Trees House. You might have heard it's called the High Tree case. So, picture this, it's 1937. Central London Property owns a block of flats, High Trees House. They lease it out to High Trees House Ltd. for £2,500 a year. But then, World War II hits, and suddenly, London isn't exactly the place everyone wants to live. The flats are half empty. High Trees can't pay the full rent. Central London Property could have kicked up a fuss, but instead, they agree to cut the rent in half, down to £1,250 a year. This goes on through the war years, but as soon as the war ends, people flock back to London, the flats fill up. Central London Property says, hey, time to pay full rent again. And then they ask for the back payments for those war years too. Here's where it gets interesting. The court had to decide, could Central London Property go back on their word and demand all the unpaid rent? Enter Lord Denning. He says, look, a promise was made, even if it wasn't in a formal contract. High Trees relied on that promise. So, Central London Property can't just turn around and demand the back rent for the war years. This is where Promissory Estoppel comes in. It's a legal principle that says, if you make a promise, someone else relies on it, you can't just break it if it would be unfair. It doesn't create a new contract, but it stops you from going back on your word for the period that the promise was relied on. So, what's the big takeaway? Central London Property versus High Trees House isn't just about rent, it's about fairness and trust in business. It shows that sometimes, the law protects people who act in good faith, even if the paperwork isn't perfect. That's the magic of Promissory Estoppel, and why this case is still taught in law schools today. So if someone says, a promise is a promise, remember sometimes a promise really does hold legal weight. That's the High Trees case in a nutshell. Thank you for watching. If you learned something new, hit that subscribe button for more legal breakdowns. See you soon.